Bleeding Edge by Thomas Pynchon, which is one of my favorite novels of all times, deals extensively with the roots and origins of the internet, with the pure nature of some of the ideas behind the internet, the idea that information should be free, the potential for community and for union within a medium such as the internet, but it also talks about its susceptibility to control and to be exploited by the dark forces of the market, of governments, of all those people who would like to keep us in line. There's a blood-chilling scene toward the end of the book where one character basically foresees that in a few years, maybe a decade, the book is set in 2001 largely, the governments or private companies or corporations will combine the potential of the internet with smartphones and other gadgets that we all carry around all the time with us, and that will be the handcuffs of the future, and people will line up to, you know, get all these instruments of control. And if you haven't watched it, Kingsman with Colin Firth is an awesome movie that's lots of fun and that makes fun but also makes you think about our susceptibility to that kind of danger. It talks about how much we have become suckers for technology and how weak and defenseless we are on that front. And of course, The Circle by Dave Eggers, which this video will be about, also talks extensively about that, and it explores the terrible potential of the internet and of social networks in particular. The Circle is very much a dystopian novel. Once I used to read tons of those. Nowadays I don't do that very much. I've kinda outgrown my dystopic phase, but this was a 100% satisfying novel, and it tapped into so many of the standard tropes of the genre in a beautiful and refreshing ways. And I've heard lots of, you know, lukewarm opinions about The Circle. Lots of people who liked it but didn't like it too much. Lots of people who had issues with its ending or with some parts of it. I'll start by saying that I love this book. I thought it was amazing and beautiful, and it was filled with so much great food for thought. One of the great things about it, probably my favorite thing, is how it shows both in a few key reflections and dialogues and in the evolution of the main character and the evolution of the narrative voice throughout the book. I'll talk about it in a second. It shows that, you know, the great danger inherent in the internet and social networks and such is especially dangerous because it's something that we, on the one hand, we have accepted into our lives and our social lives completely already, and on the other hand, because on the surface it all appears extremely innocuous. And if you think about it, there's nothing inherently bad with, you know, using social networks, or with telling companies about your preferences through surveys so that they can cater your their marketing strategies to your needs. Taken as they are, there's nothing inherently wrong with any of these things the novel discusses. It's when all of these things are combined and are exploited by evil motherfuckers that, you know, things start getting scary. That's the reason why, you know, when people mention things like, you know, we should all be, it's 2017, we should all be able to vote in elections using our own devices, using the internet. At first, it might look like a good idea, but if you think about it for a while, if you consider it in a broader perspective and in a larger discussion, you actually realize how evil that kind of shit can easily turn. And that's important in today's world, because the kind of innovations discussed in The Circle, these idea of, you know, implementing technology and social networks in the political world, is something that several parties around the world are already proposing. And it's important, and we understand, you know, the full scope of these innovations and the terrible danger that's inherent in all of these things. That, by the way, is one of the functions of literature in today's world. I do not think that literature is going to save the world. I do not think we should expect it to do that. I'm not even quite sure it can help with basic social issues. But I do believe that because of its juxtaposition of points of view, because of the way it makes you live through the eyes of so many different people from so many different places, because of its nature as a narrative medium that, you know, requires a certain effort in order to give you a certain amount of entertainment and satisfaction. Because of all these reasons, it's very good at showing you that there are really no easy answers or easy solutions in the world, and that easy solutions usually hide a catch someplace down the line. And that's a very important lesson in today's world, where lots of people are somehow believing that, you know, if we just do that, if we just isolate that group, if we just get rid of that political class, then we will all be happy forever. But enough with all the shit, let's focus on important stuff. The narrative style, as I mentioned before, is brilliant, and it shows the evolution of the main character, who is this young woman, 20-something, with a healthy passion for technology, who starts working at this social network, the Circle, and gradually becomes more and more obsessed with the ideals and lifestyle of this company. And if at first the narrative voice still reflects the fact that she is a sane person and that she understands that some elements of this company are really like over the top and extreme and weird, the more she becomes involved with life at this company, the less she is able to distinguish between what's, you know, healthy and normal and what's crazy and dystopic. And the narrative voice reflects that beautifully. It also helps that this book never gets too pedantic, and it balances very much plot, action, there's some action and good action in this novel, and dialogues. And there are a few key discussions which are brilliant and amazing in this novel, but they never feel like Eggers is basically telling you, you are wrong for this reason. They always feel well fused and integrated within the flow of the narrative. One of the problems with dystopias is the way in which they talk super seriously about things that are supposed to happen in the near future, except that sometimes the author's predictions do not become a reality, and this makes the book look, you know, silly or short-sighted or stupid. And this happens marginally with The Circle, and there's an hilarious moment where some of the characters discuss the fact that full accountability will make it impossible for politicians to lie. When everything a politician says will be recorded, it will become impossible for them to lie. But today's world shows everybody how people can lie all the time and be very successful, even when everyone can clearly see and has written proof that they are lying and they are contradicting themselves. So what can you do? All the same, this does not feel at all like, you know, that kind of super serious soapbox dystopia, like society is going to be fucked because this and this and this will happen. The evolution described in the book feels very natural and very gradual, and that only makes the book so much more disturbing and so much scarier, because it really looks, this really reads like the kind of shit that might pretty much happen within a few years, and let's all hope that doesn't happen. I will conclude by mentioning a last point The Circle makes, a point I hold very dear, which is the idea that vast, endless access to all of the world's knowledge at any time might not really be such a splendid thing as it appears, and might actually have catastrophic consequences for the way we think about ourselves and knowledge in the first place. That is a point literature has been making since time immemorial, and it is best expressed once again by the greatest writer of all times, who is, repeat after me, HP Lovecraft. The most merciful thing in the world is the inability of the human mind to correlate all its contents. We live on a placid island of ignorance in the midst of black seas of infinity, and it was not meant that we should voyage far. Ignorance has its place in the world. There's a reason why we are unable to, you know, combine all of our knowledge and to, you know, correlate all of the things going on in the world. And those people who try to defeat ignorance and get rid of it and try to become over-powerful and over-knowledgeable, that usually leads to catastrophe and evil shit. That's my review of The Circle, and if much of it is, you know, reflections on other things and maybe do not really has that much to do with the novel as a narrative artifact itself, it's just because The Circle is great food for thought. I think it is my favorite Dave Eggers novel. It definitely is if we consider, if we do not consider A Heartbreaking Work of Staggering Genius a novel. That's complicated, but technically it isn't. It's brilliant anyway. It's highly rewarding, it's one hell of a ride, and I think everyone would enjoy it. Yeah, some people will see the ending coming, but I still thought it was a brilliant and utterly satisfying ending. What do you think about The Circle? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Let me know in the comments. Thank you once more for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.